Hello, and welcome to the Post-Thunder Game Super Show. I was going to say a show number, but it's...
I don't know.
I'll make it 6.
5, 6.
It's 6. We'll say it's 6, episode 6. We may do an episode 7 this week if Sam's feeling up to it.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
A little bit closer to the mic.
Oh,
this
I'm
is
sorry.
This is a new microphone.
Yep. No problem. Is that better?
It was like that boulevard you were nursing for part of the night last night.
Now I can rub my mustache on it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
With Sam and I are Justin and Casey. I knew it started with a C, and I wanted to say
Also
Christy.
KK, but that's only for a friend, so probably shouldn't have revealed that. Forget that.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry. Justin and Casey. Justin and Brent have known... you tell everybody how you know Justin. That's not mine.
So, yeah, Justin and Casey are, friends that we've had for a long time. Justin and Brent are my high school friends that I kind of grew up with through high school.
And we
everything.
reference almost every episode.
Yeah, we kind of bring them up throughout the episodes and everything. But they knew each other longer than that. I'll let Justin, you knew Brent. You guys have gone to school for longer.
Yeah, Brent and I went to elementary school together, and then we met Sam.
Yeah.
When you started in high school.
Yep, when I started in high school. And I had been in other schools prior to that and then moved out to the school that we went to currently. And then kind of inverted myself into their group, kind of inserted. I was like, I'm going to get in there, whether they like it or not.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Brent was drawing a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I was like, nice hedgehog, man. And he's like, thanks. And then didn't really want me in there.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, and then I sat with them at lunch and then started playing Pelt with them. In Pelt. What that was the name of it, wasn't it?
Yep.
Pelt. It was a hacky sack game where you had to kick the hacky sack 3 times and then catch it and then pelt somebody with it, and they were out.
I was going to say, is this a hazing game to initiate you, where they start
don't
throwing
think so.
rocks at you?
A little bit.
I mean, I don't know if it was. I mean, I had fun. So, yeah, I liked it.
So when did the wrestling league start? Shortly after meeting, or?
That was probably a couple of years later, year or two.
Yeah, and I think that just came about. And to be completely honest, and I say this a lot, and people are like, no, you were really into wrestling. I'm like, no, I wasn't into wrestling. It was Justin and Brent that were much more into wrestling at that time.
Yeah, it was the height of
What years are we talking here?
Like 97 to
90. Okay, around the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kane, The Rock. They were big back in that day. And I don't know who started. We should start our own wrestling federation, but it came about and it happened.
And Sam was just like, I don't know anything about wrestling, but I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. We all created personas. I was Mr. Bad.
Catfish.
Yeah.
What was Brent's?
He was Triple B, or Big Bad Bentley. So, yeah. So, we had good times.
Do you still watch wrestling, Justin?
No, I do not.
No, I admit I do.
Yeah.
When my kids, it was like I want to say it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, I haven't watched this in a while. I just want to watch it. And then both of my sons were like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and my wife was probably not the best move. And I was like, we ended up going to a live event. WWE had Raw in town. We went to Raw, which they had fun, but the pyrotechnics are loud. Oh. And the music kicks on and it's loud. So most of them spent the whole time like this. And I was like, sorry. But like the New Day came out, some of their favorite wrestlers came out, and they were like super excited as to whatever was happening.
You guys went to a few, I think, didn't you? At the Shrine Mosque or whatever.
Around that time when we were
there was a
into
couple events that occurred.
They did, I think in 2001, there was a pay-per-view at Kemper called Backlash. Mm-hmm. And a whole bunch of friends of mine that I never knew were hardcore wrestling fans called me up. I was like, Brady, you like wrestling, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, all the wrestlers are showing up at their hotels the night before the pay-per-view, and people go out and meet them and get autographs. And I was like, that's weird. And he goes, well, do you want to go? And I was like, I had literally nothing else to do that night. And I was like, sure, why not? And I met a whole bunch of wrestlers just as they walked in. Like I met the Hardy Brothers. I met, the one that got me was the Big Show.
Hardy Brothers were my favorite.
Are they?
So wait, did you watch wrestling too?
I watched wrestling, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew that about you.
The Hardy Brothers were my wrestlers.
So I had a friend of mine that she was obsessed with Jeff Hardy. And they're going through and they're signing. Everybody's signing autographs. Everybody was really cool about it too. But I looked at I kept looking at Jeff Hardy because he was like basically right here where Sam is. And I was like, I looked over next to him. I was like, can I borrow your cell phone? And he goes, sure. So I called him. I was like, hey, I got a surprise for you. And I asked him while it was ringing, I was like, hey, if I put, she's like, yeah. And he's like, she goes, what? And I handed he goes, hey, it's Jeff Hardy. Who's this? It is like, scream. Nothing but a scream. And I'm like, there it is. And he talked to her for like almost 5 minutes.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
got the phone. And then the next time I saw her, she bowled me over with a huge hug. She was like, oh my God. But the Big Show was there that night.
Oh,
and I have
man,
never felt so small in my entire life.
How tall is he?
Oh, like he couldn't fit through the normal door frames. I think he's around 7 foot or if not bigger.
dang.
But like I watched him. He said hi, signed some autographs, and then went through, went into the bar, and he had to duck down under the thing. I also met Brock Lesnar that night.
Oh my!
And it was like I want to say
he's a beast.
It was probably a couple months after he had done this thing where he picked the Big Show up on his shoulders and slammed him, and everybody was like, "How did this guy do this?" And that was the one thing I said to him was, "I saw what you did to the Big Show, and I just am extremely impressed by."
Did he say his back was hurting him?
No.
After that,
he was just everybody. It was really cool because they were all really nice, and they were just like,
yeah, that's cool when you meet people that are like down to earth like that,
right?
So.
And I imagine those wrestlers get hounded all the time.
Yeah.
They spend all their lives in airports, just going from show to show.
Yeah.
So,
Casey, did you ever go to a live show
No.
of
I didn't.
WWE? No. Okay.
I did
Just-
have a Jeff Hardy poster.
Is that on your list? Is he on your list? I guess
No,
now I don't know what he looked
not
like.
anymore.
Probably not.
I would
Maybe
suggest,
at one
I would
time
suggest
he would have
not.
been.
No.
Yeah, if you looked at him now, you'd be like,
He's on my list.
"Hey, I get it."
Oh no, he's been arrested for like the 4th time in the last couple of
I'm
months.
so sad for
Yeah.
him.
Dang.
I think they said his current status is like WWE's like he's his own man. He hasn't actually worked
not
for us in a
responsible
while.
for
He's not
him.
responsible for him.
Oh, that's too bad.
That is too
So, his brother though still works for the company. He's what they call a producer. So before matches starts, they are the ones that sit down with the guys that are going to be in the match, and they go, "Here are your cues. This is your time limit. You know, you need to hit these spots. Fill the time in between. Ref will signal you when you need to go to the closing segment."
Wait.
Do you not know how wrestling
Hold on.
works?
Isn't it all?
information.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought it was all real. I thought
The
everything
punch.
happened.
No, okay, so the hits are real. The falling flat on your back is real.
Yeah.
And some of the moves, if not performed correctly,
Yeah.
can cripple people.
Yes. Well, I
But-
remember when the Big Show was dropped on his head.
Yeah.
At one point, and there was like a big with the power bomb.
Yeah.
And they talked about like it being illegal because it was just such a dangerous move.
Yeah,
to
for a long
perform.
time, you know what pile driver is, where they just drop. For the longest time, several wrestling organizations in like the late '80s banned it.
Well, and I can
They were like,
understand. I mean, if you don't protect the
if
person's
you don't
head and
protect
neck.
him, and there was a pay-per-view with Owen Hart and Steve Austin where he did a pile driver to him, and he did it correctly, but as he was coming down, he slid like this much
Yeah.
down, and his head went that far below Owen's legs. So instead of not like his shoulders are supposed to hit his thighs,
Yeah.
he compressed his spine and was like.
Yeah.
And then
It's yeah.
there was a thing where Brock Lesnar tried to do a moonsault where you're on the top rope and you jump backwards and do a flip, and Kurt Angle
Brock
was
Lesnar.
yeah Brock Lesnar, and he was
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
no well Kurt Angle was too far out.
Yeah.
And like he just try too hard and didn't rotate enough, and he kind of landed on the side of his head. And he says that he has no memory of the rest of the match, and Kurt Angle kind of picked him up and moved him through the
gosh.
moves to get through the end of the match. But when he hit, like if you ever see the video, it's like,
Yeah, you're like,
Nope.
ouch.
Ouch.
I'm good.
Yeah. Crazy. Did you I'm going to kind of segue just a little bit.
No, you're gonna.
So Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know, have you ever
No.
watched Hot Ones?
Oh,
Have I talked to you
yes,
about that? Did
yes.
you watch the one? Did you watch the ones with Stone Cold on it? Or do you know what
yeah,
Hot
the
Ones?
wings.
Yeah, the eating the wings.
Yeah.
like nothing bothered him. He just went right through it.
It was he was so good. He was so good on that episode. I'm just sorry. I just want to say,
No,
and him talking like inside baseball on wrestling, and you kind of are
Right.
like,
Yeah, that was good.
it's so good. And I've read the first of Mick Foley's books.
I've been wanting
and
to
it
read
was
his books.
so good.
Him and Jericho's books are the ones I want to.
Yeah, I remember. I think Justin and Brent recommended. They're like, you guys got to read his first book.
Isn't Mick Foley like a professional Santa now?
He is obsessed with Christmas.
He does love
Like he has an entire room in his house that's full of nothing but Christmas stuff,
Yeah.
and he has his own handmade, tailored Santa suit,
Yeah,
like
I feel
the
like-
finest detail.
I feel like he was in a documentary about Santas. Or
Oh, he probably
It's possible.
was.
And he seemed, from what I've heard too, the nicest guy. And you guys
Yeah.
have met him. Justin
Yeah,
and Brent
yeah,
have met him.
yeah.
And then he's
Book
been,
signing.
yeah, he's just a good guy.
Yeah, he was at the Kansas City Comic Book Convention
Yeah.
the past year, and Monica, a friend of mine, was like, "Hey, can you get an autograph for him or for my son?"
Yeah.
She lives in Wichita, and I was like, "Sure, I'll get you the autograph." So I told Monica, "Hey, so we have to get in line to meet Mick Foley," and she was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And like we got there, and I had a picture. You weren't allowed to take pictures unless you paid an extra $20, and I was like, the rules
Yeah.
for this guy's
I
that
know.
was stupid. But I got up there, and he's like, "You want a picture?" I was like, "Well, no, I need you to make this out to Evan. Have a nice." And he does this whole thing, and then my wife, she's just, "Can I have a hug?" And he goes, "Yes, you can have a hug."
Yeah.
And he goes,
$10.
well, no, but he was really nice to everybody in line, and there was like, I think Rey Mysterio was next to him, and there was a guy next in line for him who was like, "Can I just?" He had like a fast pass to get to the line quicker, and Ray was taking a while, and he just hopped over because Ray's fast pass line was empty, so he just hopped over here, and Ray was like, "Hey, you're poaching my people," and he was like, "Well, you shouldn't be taking so long."
If only they started wrestling then. That would have been the best.
That would have been great.
There's a Mick Foley's Christmas Chaos book that he wrote, and a Mick Foley's Halloween Hijinks.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. He's written some more books.
I have to remember that for Brent's gift next year.
Perfect
like-
Christmas gift for children and adults.
I was gonna say,
This
is it a
illustrated
kid's
poem
gift?
tells the story of Santa's yearly struggle to keep his elves in check and revive the truth.
And the only way he can do it is through WWE wrestling.
Pile driver.
Exactly. What's that? You get the mandible claw.
That's great. I thought you were actually getting ready to ask me because you said Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I get asked a lot because people know I'm a wrestling fan. Is that where you got Austin's name?
Oh,
Like,
no. I
that
didn't
is
even
not.
put two and
That
two
is
together.
not where I named my child from.
Gotcha.
I was in a class, a home ec class in high school, and they wanted you to pick a partner, come up with names for kids, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. I remember that.
So the two names I came up with were Austin James Nichols for a boy and Kylie Lynn Nichols for a girl.
Oh, nice.
And when my wife and I got married, and I told her the two names I'd come up, she goes,
Yeah.
"I love those. We'll just use those." I was like,
All right.
"Okay."
I
cool."
remember I did that in class, and I was like, "There's one girl." I was like, "I don't want to be paired with her,"
And you got
I got paired with
her?
her, and I was like, "God, you gotta be kidding me!" I won't say her name just in case she listens.
I was a sophomore. I got paired with a senior girl, and I was like, and she was just like, "We need to do this quickly," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, we do.
And she had a list of names, and I was like,
Do what?
right. And actually, I was more like, "Okay,
Whatever. That's what she said.
I wasn't saying that's what she said jokes when I was around people who intimidated me." And a senior girl will intimidate
Oh yeah,
almost any boy in the high school.
trust me. Yeah.
All right, so get to topic.
Yeah, get to topic.
Thunder Games was last night. This is
Yeah.
your 6th?
This is So I can't remember if we've explained Thunder Games before.
Go right
on the
ahead.
Podcast, but just so everybody knows, I host a Thunder Games. I host basically a video game party I call Thunder Games, and this is the 6th year that I've had it. And so people come. I set up different stations that have you either compete for points or time, and then a tournament. So there's like 3 stations set up, and you kind of go through those different parts of the night, basically. And we keep track, and there's a scoreboard, and then whoever wins, basically, you go into like a quarterfinals, semifinals, and then a finals. And we have 2 trophies, a first and second, and then like a best girl gamer. And we actually are fortunate to be graced with 4-time winner Justin,
Back to back to back
Back-
to back.
back to back to back consecutively. So, man, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks,
Well
and-
done.
Yes.
And thanks for hosting such a wonderful event.
Yeah, I've been happy to do it. It's been a blast. And prior to, there is no knowledge of the games except for the final game that I use for the tournament is typically one of the tournament games the next year. So everything's kind of hidden. Everybody has to come in with complete, just like, hey, hope you're good at games. And it's not like the typical games you think of, something that's, I feel, difficult to play. And my wife being kind of the testing ground for most of those, that I just want you to be able to come in and be able to pick it up and go. And I
Yeah,
feel like
they're-
it's been
They're simple
decent.
1 or 2 button games.
Yeah. And I try to, just cater to the whole, like a whole crowd. Like Casey, who doesn't typically play video games. I feel like she can play these games.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
to varying level, you can play them, I mean, it may not be, like you're killing and, winning, but there has been surprising years where people have done really well with a game that don't typically play games. And yeah, it's been good.
So I'm going to run down the list of games you did.
Yes.
Your first round, which I was told was the championship game from last year, was Push Me, Pull You.
Yep.
Which I tried looking up, but I apparently didn't acquire that one.
Oh, you didn't
during
pick
the
that
free
one up
thing.
Yeah.
It's PlayStation Plus free game apparently, and I missed that one somehow. Can you describe this game to me?
You are linked to another human being, and you're controlling both of them, and there's like a tube between you.
But yeah, I was gonna say by the torso.
It's sort of
by
like
the torso.
Stretch Armstrong, but
with
heads
his
and
with
arms.
his legs removed and another head and arms on that side.
It's real weird, guys.
Yeah.
But
And you can
fun.
you can expand his middle section or his or her, or you can contract it, and then you're trying to
And
bring.
It sounds gross. When you
It
do
sounds gross.
And
It's
it
a
makes
Yeah,
some
squishy sounds.
very specific, nasty noise.
But
Yeah.
you try to like wrap it around a ball and keep the ball on your side. And so you're just like fighting each other, trying to keep these balls on your side of the court or whatever. it
With
is.
this weird body
Yeah,
that
and you
can
have you control one set of arms and head with one joystick and the other with the other.
Yeah.
And man, you get I kept getting so confused as to which one I was controlling with which, to where I stopped using one.
Yeah.
And then I was
And
just
then that
watching.
body's just like dragging
Right,
behind.
well, right, because if you have it fully extended, it looks like its arms or hands are dug into the ground, and like, and I'm like, I draw like just whipping around a dead body or a zombie. That's why I said, was that you? I said they should do skins for this game,
zombie.
like, and then they make them look like zombies, so they look like you're
crawling around.
and make the ball a head rolling around or
Yeah,
something.
that'd be a
There you
good
go.
like Halloween themed one.
Brain. So how do you? Okay, so you had 2 stations set up where people recorded their times.
Yep.
What do you call the third station where like the push where you're head to head with somebody?
That's the tournament. The tournament
stuff.
brackets. Yeah.
Okay. So that was part of the tournament brackets. The round 1 games were Castle Crashers and
Something the Barbarian. I can't remember what it's called.
Avoid the Barbarian.
Yeah, Avoid the Barbarian, basically.
So you're just doing the mode where you're jumping around trying to not get squashed by the piece.
Yeah, trying to stay alive by hitting different
Which
color combinations of buttons.
I totally wasn't even paying attention to the fact that the colors of the buttons match the right side buttons.
Yeah.
I was just pushing the arrow direction that was attached to the color.
Yeah.
And then I watched Jared, I think, play it, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't even think of the fact that you were just doing it by color.
Yeah.
Didn't Jared no, it was Jason. Jason got the highest score on that, which was funny because
Jonathan got the highest time on that.
Jason was the tall.
Jason's a tall guy.
There were a lot of J names. Justin had got the highest score, and he was like a couple milliseconds off from getting the current best score. But you only did it once.
Well, and here's the tricky thing. So the way I do it so that, first of all, you're not spinning forever at a station is you can try twice. But if you decide to try after your first time of getting an initial score or initial good time, you void that regardless. So say you just screw up that second time and you're trying to stay alive as long as you can in this, avoid the barbarian game, and you get 10 seconds and you had a minute before, well, 10 seconds is your new time.
Yeah.
You don't get to keep your best score.
So Justin got the high score, and then I tried goading him into doing it again. I was like, no, Justin, I think you can do it better. Do it again, hoping he would maybe mess up.
That's a strategy.
But then,
wait and see if anybody else beats it.
But then, you just said his name. Jonathan does it.
And killed.
What was funny was like everybody I watched do it was trying so hard to hit the precise buttons.
Yeah.
And he was just rolling his thumb around.
Yeah.
Just doing circles. And I was like, especially watching how concentrated you were, Justin, when you were doing it, to just watch him doing this, I was like, and he destroyed your time by almost a full minute. Yeah. And I was like, that would infuriate me had I watched that happen.
I still got second place in that one. So
yeah, but you were doing the push me or push you pull me thing. Brent Simmons just messaged me. Brandon, you said you are a board card game guy, right? Have you heard of Marble Champions, LCG? I should reply and said, we are trying to record a podcast, sir. That you could have been at had your son's birthday not been so important. No. See, but now he closed my pictures. That was what threw me off there. So then on the Fledgling Heroes one, I've never heard of that, and I've been looking at a lot of Apple Arcade games, And I think my kids would probably.
That was a nice simple one, just kind of like a Flappy Bird type of game.
Yeah, but a little better.
Just
not as
just
annoying.
tap 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 to fly the bird, and you're just trying to get the best time.
I still struggled.
That's okay.
I think I got like.
finished?
Did you get to the end?
Yeah, you finished.
I died a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's the thing with it is like, sometimes people are like, oh, you should include like, I don't know, Call of Duty or this and that game. And I'm like, yeah, but no, there's going to be people that won't be able to control those multiple
can
Right.
accesses.
control or
Exactly. And I'm like, that's not what Thunder Games is about. Thunder Games is about coming and just having fun. And then there are those that want to compete that can play. But if you're a casual and you're just like, I just want to come and, I'll play the games and just.
I'm there for the Chick-fil-A.
Exactly. I always do. Yeah, get a big Chick-fil-A platter and just hang out and talk to people that you know.
I told Monica, I was like, I can't imagine he's going to get enough nuggets to feed 12 to 15 people. And then I looked at the platter and I went, oh, I don't know. I think that might go.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, I think you were like, there's still 4 nuggets.
There was 4 nuggets left at the end of the night. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody eat these.
I took care of that.
Thank you.
They were
I
delicious.
figured you would.
Oh, yes.
I've always been a sucker for a veggie and cheese tray, which is why I kept going just towards the celery and carrots and cheese.
Me too.
Push me, pull you. I almost beat Jason. I think is who I was playing was Jason.
Yeah. Jason's pretty
And-
competitive too, and he had won second last year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Castle Crashers. I think I was middle of the pack. There were 13 people total.
Yeah, and at the max there was 13, and then 1 left, and so we were at 12.
And then Fledgling Heroes. I don't know where I finished. It wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
Wasn't great.
The hard thing with the games too is I think the most challenging thing with running it, because I run it mostly by myself, is that
Not for lack of.
I know some people have offered, but it's just I want people to be able to play it and enjoy. But it's hard when there's a game up and it's your first time playing it,
Right.
and I haven't had a chance to either explain it to you or whatever. But that's just kind of the way it goes. And some people are like, I'm just here to have dumb fun, and I don't necessarily need to win. I just want to see the game and play it.
What would you think of the first round of games?
They were good. I didn't do as well on the fledgling
Yeah,
heroes,
fledgling
Fledgling.
heroes. Yeah,
but I was okay with that.
yeah.
The,
You said, there's a strategy.
Did you win your push me pull you game?
I got second place. Jared beat me.
Okay.
Which is
Championship.
Jared.
killed it last night. He was doing really well.
Jared is very competitive as well. He really likes to win, even though I think he doesn't like to let on that he's that competitive of a
Tries to
guy.
be cool about it.
Yeah, he tries to be really cool about it, but it is kind of been interesting watching him because he's always kind of been very close to like being in the top, 4 or 6, depending on what happens.
You were a little worried about him, weren't you? I feel like at some point we had a conversation where you were like, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
No,
No?
I wasn't too worried.
Oh, okay.
I look at that confidence, that bravado. I like to see it.
He did finish top overall.
Yeah.
Going into
Yeah.
the,
Yep. Jared was
yeah.
second. Yep.
So on this round 2, the 2 station games were Excite Bite and Super Monkey Ball. I'd actually never played Super Monkey Ball,
It's a blast.
and I made sure I watched everybody else do it before I actually.
And that's a good strategy for people that haven't played it. Typically, if you've not played a game, and I mean, I'm kind of just like you play your own strategy, go into however you like, just watch other people.
Right.
And see what's working, what's not working.
What agitated me was I've played Excite Bike a lot.
Yeah.
And I did the wrong level the first 2 times. And I was like, I had a decent score. I was like, I think I could, finish top 3 with this. And then he went to start it, and I noticed the whole thing on his was green, where I was on a blue track, and I went, damn it. So when I redid mine, and then I kept forgetting when the one I did had none of the little humps that you have
the
to
little
jump
humps.
over.
Yep.
And so I was like, wasn't thinking about it, and I just kept, and then I was so agitated at myself, and I just kept screwing it up. So I did not do very good. Super Monkey Ball 2, though, was you explain something to me.
Yeah.
Why would you just seem to randomly lose altitude? What were some people not doing right?
Super Monkey Ball aficionado's right there. He knows that game
it's
better
like
than
if
most.
you're in a plane and you're holding back on the throttle.
Right.
You go up and you just stall out, and then you fall.
Okay.
And there's wind too. A lot of people didn't notice the wind factor.
Yeah, I didn't notice there was wind factor
There's
either.
a wind factor in there.
I see. So playing a lot of Batman Arkham games and other similar type games where you're controlling something flying through the air, I assumed like if you dove, you could regain altitude and go back up. not so much.
No.
So my first go around, I didn't do very good. My second go around, I think I finished second or third on that one.
Yeah, I think it,
Was it? And you just show up with 3,000 points.
Yeah,
3,800.
I played that game a lot in college.
Did you?
Yeah.
that was one that was whenever we lived in a duplex. I actually lived with Justin and another Sam actually, and Monkey Ball was one of our frequent ones, and Justin was typically. So that's actually not even the main game. We were playing a party game in Monkey Ball. The main game is you're in that ball and you're trying to get through like a course to the finish line, basically. That's like the story mode or whatever. And there, as you're going, like the levels will get thinner and thinner and more challenging. They'll add different things to it. And Justin was always really, really good at. Like we couldn't, like there were certain ledges that were so small to go on.
Now this whole thing seems a little more rigged than I thought it was.
I know a lot of people think it, but yeah, it's not. I try to pull as many games as I can, but sometimes I'm like, I know this game will work well, but somebody's played it, and it's like I can't pick games that nobody's
There's
played.
There's also very few games that Justin
hasn't played.
Yeah. I mean, especially with those early rounds. I was an only child. I played a lot of video games by myself, so those early games that you play by yourself, Excite Bike's one that I played as a kid.
And how old are you?
I am 37.
82?
81.
81? Okay,
yeah.
so 82.
82. Yep.
The tournament one I've had plenty of experience of in round 2. I've played Nidhogg 2 a lot.
Yeah, Nidhogg 2. Nidhogg in general, like the original, is just a blast because it's so a basic concept. But Nidhogg 2 ramps it up with multiple weapons and a different color palette. And
so you can clarify this with him. I want you to know I beat Tom.
Yeah.
But he looked so freaking confused. I offered him another one.
Oh, okay.
And then he was like, yes. And then I noticed he was catching it. I kept paying attention to him the whole time because he was looking super frustrated. And then all of a sudden I realized he was like almost all the way over. And I was like, crap. And then I couldn't regroup enough to do it.
Gotcha.
And he was like, thanks, man. And I'm like, yeah. No problem, Tom.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times on those tournament ones, I'll say, if you want to do a little practice just to kind of get a feel for it, go for it. It just has been difficult with other years because there's a lot of people there, and then that extends it way past the time I hoped it.
Yeah, no, he was all good with the outcome, and I was like, "Do you want another shot?" Because you looked super lost, and he was like, "Are you sure?"
That was nice of you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be known I actually did win something at some point.
Well done.
I will say the championship one for Nidhogg 2 went like 15 minutes or something, or it felt like
James and Jason.
Yeah.
And James is very good at it. James when the original Nidhogg was up there, he was a very good contender to play it, and I think he picked up on the simplicity of it and kind of the back and forth.
They both got to the last stage and almost the last exit.
Worked their way back multiple times. So
it was ridiculous.
It was a good display, sportsmanship.
So then you have round 1, round 2, then you have the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Which I loved that part of that was a card game.
Yeah. I've thought about bringing some different type of game that's not a video game into it. And One Night Werewolf, I think, was a very successful game to bring into it. Very easy to use and quick. So.
Have you ever played that?
I played it once before with Sam.
See, my nephew Dave, which we've talked about, that lives here, who's currently at work, bum. He's been like begging me. Like we've done a couple game nights with some friends of mine, and he was like, "Do you think they've ever played One Night Werewolf?" I'm like, "I don't.
Yeah,
I don't have a clue." And we was at Walmart one day, and the box that you had, he picked up and was like, "I'm gonna get it." But then he read something on the back of the box that said it was different than the one he played, and I don't know what it was.
Maybe so. Some of the other One Night Werewolves, they go multiple turns. It's not just the one night, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I actually don't care for those as much because it's kind of gets a little bit more complicated, and I like that it's simple as far as like the One Night Werewolf goes. And that's the thing with it as well. With this game, it's very challenging if you are assigned a role like as the werewolf, and you have to try to stay hidden. I mean, anything can happen if you mess up what you're trying to come up with, and there's other roles that do certain things. You can just be out. And that's the way I decided. I was like, hey, if you get out, if you're not on the villager side or the werewolf side, and they pick up on your trail and you are figured out, you're out that round.
You've done things like that in years past, where it's not
I've used some
always
Jackbox
video
and
games.
Yep. Jackbox is a good one, and it's like trivia with some, and it's like,
I love Jackbox.
if you
games.
fail and you just don't happen to be in the top 4 or 2, then that's out. You're out of the game.
We could do that one night.
What, the Jackbox?
Like when we do our game nights.
Oh yeah, completely. Jackbox is a blast.
Now going into the quarterfinal, weren't you in like 4th, Justin?
Yes, I believe so.
I think
Third, fourth.
I think you and Casey were standing there like, okay, you need to
I
get
think you
however
were
many
4th.
points. Like you two were like formulating a plan, like what you needed to do or something. And I was like,
I was formulating a plan.
well, you were talking. You were like, okay, you were down this many points, so you need to make up this,
I
this,
just
and this.
went-
Oh, she was giving me a hard time.
I said, you're 700 points behind him.
Oh.
That's a lot.
I guess I missed that she was digging on you and not.
Yeah.
Definitely was.
Okay.
I'm not so much
Which is what a wife, I
inspirer.
feel, is.
Yeah.
She's not as
as I
supportive
am
as she
just-
appears.
Yeah.
But
A
it
little
was,
criticism goes a long way.
Gave you the,
Gave you the-
Yeah,
oh.
the champ is
points to win, right?
here with us right now. So
so there were
had you not had that, who knows what would have happened?
Right?
there were 4 people in the quarterfinal.
Yep.
And so there were
Semifinals. Yeah.
but
Four.
there were 4 people. There were 4 people that moved on from that. You had
Correct.
6 people.
Yep, I had 6 in the quarters, and then I moved to a semifinals, and there were 4.
And it was Justin, Jared,
Jonathan.
And Jason?
No, Jason had already gotten out in one night. We're off.
James.
Gosh. James, that's right. Yep.
Justin, Jonathan, James, Jason.
Yeah, lots of J's.
Not Jason.
Not Jason. Yeah, Jared.
Jared.
Yeah.
All the J's.
Yeah.
All except Jason. And then from there, you went to Mario Kart 64.
Yes.
Which I was so happy you had Mario Kart 64. I hope whatever Sam does, there's at least one Mario Kart game in there somehow. And then I guess I forgot you were doing like quarterfinal, semifinal stuff. And so I brought a Nintendo 64 controller, and by the time we're like almost done with that, I'm like, what the hell did he want the 64
Sometimes I
controller
ask
for?
people to bring stuff and I don't use it. Yeah.
Well, see, then that's what I'd wondered. I was like, I wonder if he asked me to bring that just to make me
completely.
think I was going to be playing.
Completely. And you don't know where it's going to fall in the rotation of games as well. So
Right.
there's a possibility that it's like, I won't use that till even the finals. And it's like, oh, that
So
was one of the station games.
Justin and Jared won Mario Kart. So you did battle mode,
Yes.
which I actually really like battle mode.
We played that all the time whenever it first came out. Oh, I loved it.
Jared
mode
went
was a
down a
blast.
balloon immediately and was super frustrated. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Jared's going out. My brain went,
Yeah.
because that is a thing where if you get frustrated quickly and you try to do too much knock other people down. And then
I feel like I'm watching Jared. Then I think he went up on one of the pillars in
It's-
the block, and I think he
There's
just
people
stayed
that
there.
went up there
That just went
and
up there
hit.
and didn't move
yeah.
after that. And I think Jared was one of them. So it was kind of funny. I was like, I mean, that's a strategy. Sure, go just try to be forgotten about.
See, and I know he was the only one who I knew which square was his.
Yeah.
And I was assuming it was kind of because the way you guys were sitting, I was trying to line up. I didn't realize you were in the bottom left corner.
Oh, okay.
And then after a minute, I was like, Donkey Kong's the only one with 3 balloons. That's got to be Justin.
Again, another one of those games I played as a kid.
Yeah.
Spent hours playing Mario Kart 64.
And then the final was Justin and Jared and I think he said, and I brought it up, and I'm sure we talked about it when we were talking about Apple Arcade, you had Cricket Through the Ages.
Cricket Through the Ages.
So
Yep.
before I had said something to you about that, had you tried the game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because I thought I asked you about it and you were very vague about it.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
You're going to come play in the game, so I'm not letting you know anything about it.
I didn't play it in the games,
Yeah.
but I had seen a lot of gameplay footage on it, so I was really interested to watch you two play it, and it was very entertaining.
It did not disappoint, I think, for the finals, which is typically I like a game because I just throw the 2 finalists in and I say, go, I'm not telling you
Not
anything
telling
about
you
this
anything.
game. Figure it out. That's how you play.
And usually it's a really weird game, like
Yeah.
push me, pull you last
Star
Right.
Wall.
This one.
Star Wall
Yeah.
was the game that was just weird and like what's happening. And this was a 1-button game. What's happening?
There were
what are we doing?
There were the first 2 rounds. I thought at one point in both of those that you were just going to run away with it, but then he came back
Making comebacks,
and it
yeah.
got real close, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Still not sure exactly how the scoring works in that game. Just kind of started to figure it out, but
just like, so if you just accidentally fall, as long as the other person makes a move, they get the point.
right.
Yeah.
Then there was the one where he chucked and hit you in the head with the ball, and I thought surely he was going to get the point for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you did, but you got the point and he didn't.
He didn't knock over the wickets, right?
Yeah.
It's cricket.
Yeah, it's cricket. You got to knock over the wickets.
But it also seemed like if somebody got hurt, that they would also not get the points.
It's very random, but that's what's fun about it, is that it is random.
And for being so cartoony looking, the hits look
they're
really
great.
violent.
The thuds,
really gory.
and especially with that surround sound, they sound great.
And you did the World War one at the end where there were just body parts just piling up, and you're running at each other, and I'm going,
What is happening
this is
here?
a little much.
The nice thing about that game too is it changes up with the game types. There's different like strategies in what you're doing, and so it's like when they played initially cricket, it's like you're throwing the ball and somebody's got a bat. Is that what it's called? I don't know. The thing to hit the cricket ball, and you're getting points there. And then the soccer one, you're trying to like kind of score a goal, but at the same time you can knock the wickets. And then the World War, it changes everything, and you're just trying to advance forward.
The one with the soccer balls was hilarious because you guys just ended up on top of each other.
Yeah.
And I'm
You
like,
just wind up like a helicopter.
right, I was like, oh, like, okay, there it goes. But no, you beat him pretty good. So his best 3 out of 5 was
I did
the
best 3 out of 5.
And
He won all 3 rounds.
You won all 3 in a row. So
Pretty
congrats,
hand-
sir.
Like you said,
Thank you.
handily. So it's good.
Good
You-
job.
You so do you know the date for next year? So
No, I don't know the date for next year yet. But with you guys both here now, all 3 of you, what did you think? 6th year, how's it going? Thoughts, opinions.
Well, my first year,
improvements that are needed.
since my input will be very memorable, it was fun. I liked it.
Good.
I liked that you did have a variety of, especially with the board game or the card game thrown in the middle of it. I thought
Good. Well, it's nice because it's
fun
your
and
first year, so
right.
and then this has been Justin's 6th year. Casey, you've come. This is maybe your 3rd time. come?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're close there, so it's kind of nice to have the range of like, what have you seen? I know things have not worked in the past, but I'm always
it's
open
like
to suggestions.
The evolution of Thunder games, you're to where you've streamlined the process and you've got a formula down that works pretty well.
And the flow was really good, and it went much quicker than years past. And
Which my goal has always
10
been
o'clock.
end by 10 or
yes,
before
and
10, and it
done
happened.
Before 10, you did it.
Yeah.
And the food was good.
Good. I'm glad you
And
liked
so
it.
were the margaritas.
That's what I've heard. I don't really eat much or drink much that night as I'm running stuff.
You
But
have in the past.
You have in the past, which is what I have heard stories from multiple
that was,
people
I
on.
think, year 1 and
There
2.
was one year he couldn't do the score anymore because he just couldn't process.
I
It
know.
was pretty
I did have to hand off scoring
But
that year.
Emily's told me a
Yeah,
couple
sweet.
stories, and then last night I got a couple stories about it. It's like he's so lucky to have all this stuff now because he's tried doing this in the past and he's had too
man.
much to drink while doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be complicated to do math when you are slightly tipsy and you're just like, numbers don't look like numbers.
Well, that's when you were still like handwriting everything
Yeah.
down, and so
Yes, I've been fortunate to have Brent and Justin both assist me with a creation of, a document, like a sheet, an Excel spreadsheet to kind of put everything into, and it's automated, which is fantastic.
How did you feel as the host for this?
Really
one?
good this year. Yeah, really good. It was very akin to the very first year I did Thunder Games, other than writing everything on paper. But it was a smaller group the first year we had it, and I think that is helpful to kind of have it streamlined and not having multiple people going, and then as I'm trying to coordinate people going through stations and making sure they get to their tournament brackets to fight, it can be very challenging. So it was nice to have the group that we had, that a lot of people that knew what they were doing and would kind of go through the steps and complete the motions to play the games, compete in the tournaments. But I think this was probably the best year I've had, to be honest.
Cool. And so you said the championship game is always in the next one?
Yep.
So Cricket Through the Ages.
So people will know that.
So it'll be a tournament game next year.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. I always try to bring that to the next year, unless something goes wrong. But
And you sounded like you already had good idea for stuff you want to do.
I
next
do.
year? Good. I imagine those are older games because between now and then a newer game like Cricket Through the Ages might come out, and you're like,
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping you'd find a way to fit in with the golf somehow into
know.
the whole.
I thought about it for a little while. So, but it's not to say it won't ever show up. But
Well, right. In like 5 years when nobody's played it
exactly.
since it was released.
So
All right. we'll just wrap that there.
Yeah,
it was nice.
good.
It was nice meeting both of you.
Yeah, you too.
And I look
Played
forward
a lot
to
of
getting
games
next year.
online, but never met
In person. So it'd been nice to meet Brent, but
What a
Maybe
chump.
next year.
maybe next year. So, all right. Well, that was this episode, and I guess let me know Monday if you feel like recording another one after work.
Give you a holla.
Or if you want to even do it Tuesday, move it. We can push it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right.
But Justin will be so sad his podcast isn't up.
It's true.
It's okay. He told me he's playing a new game with the podcast too. So.
It's true. We're going on about
Oh,
4 minutes right
I'll put
I know.
this podcast will go up Monday no matter what.
Oh, perfect.
So it just might be that week's
This fills
earlier. So
Got it.
you'll have something to do Monday
Okay.
while you're at work and staring at your
I'm
trophy.
probably not going to listen to this one.
Oh, you're not?
I
Don't want to listen to your own voice?
Nope.
No?
No.
I've listened to 2 podcasts that I've personally been a part of, and it was only because one, I wasn't mine, and I just wanted to hear how the whole thing sounded, see if I sounded like an idiot like I thought I did. And the other one was somebody told me the sound was off on something, not one of these, but another one. Mm-hmm. And so I went back through and listened, and I had to make notes where the cues were, because I had to go back and fix the audio and re-upload it. So I know how to do most of this. It's the editing the files sometimes can get, if the volume's not right, I can distort it too much, and it'll be in the middle of talking, and it sounds like you're a machine or like a computer making a noise, and
cool.
it's like, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. So, all right. Well, that was it for Thunder Game 6.
Yes, it was.
Maybe do another
Till
one next year.
Yep, that's the plan.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
No, he will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you guys next week.